A lot of people are like, well, I have to do business in the state that I'm in. No, you don't. You can do business from anywhere in the world. We have done deals on ski slopes in France, on yachts in Croatia, and all the way here from Australia. So you do not need to be in the same location as your deals. As long as you know what you're doing, how to run your due diligence, how to have boots on the ground when you need it, and making sure that you've got the right people on your team. Other than that, you don't need to be anywhere near your deals. As long as the deal stacks up and the numbers stack up, you're all good.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Alicia Jarrett is a global real estate investor based in Australia who conducts her deals in the U.S. She co-owns multiple businesses, including Global Citizen Holding, Land Scouts, Supercharged Offers, and Wilda for Women in Business. Alicia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sam. Great to be here.
Pleasure's mine.
all the way from the future.
Absolutely. Yes, you are coming from the future. That's funny. I hadn't heard that before. Yeah,
I know.
It's June 29th for you, I would assume.
It sure is.
Yeah,
June 29th, 6 a.m. And the tomorrow's looking pretty good for you, Sam. I can tell you that much.
Great. What's the stock market doing? I guess it's not open yet. Shoot. Hoping to find out where I should place my bets tomorrow. Yeah, it's only June 28th for me. It is a pleasure to have you on the show. There are 3 questions I ask every guest who comes to the show. In 90 seconds or less, can you tell me where did you start, where are you now, and how did you get there?
Yep. Where did we start? We started doing, so we are based in Australia, as people can probably tell from my accent. We started doing some houses way back in like 20 years ago here in Australia, just to get some investment properties up and running. But then when we wanted to take that full time, we ended up going into the US. We did some fix and flips with houses. We then went into vacant land, which is now our asset class that we do. Where are we now? We're now doing multiple vacant land deals per month. We've got a team of 3 full-time customer service people in that business. We now have our own real estate marketing business based in the US because we saw that there was a huge gap in the market of how people know how to do good marketing. That's got 14 people in it, and we're about to launch a new app called neighborletters.com. So yeah, we've grown a lot in 5 years, Sam.
So say that. What was the last business that you're involved in?
The last one, we're about to launch a new app. It's coming. Watch this space. It's called neighborletters.com, and we're launching Neighbor Letters.
Neighbor Letters.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, I'm hard. Not only am I hard of hearing, I'm not very bright. So forgive me. So Neighbor Letters is
the Aussie accent is a thick one.
It's all good. Neighbor Letters. So what is that?
So that is an app where a lot of real estate investors, when they get a property under contract or they want to sell that direct to market, or they want to just send out any types of comms to people in an area where they have properties, a lot of people send out neighbor letters. But the process to do that is very onerous. You've got to go and, find out who all your neighbors are and download a list and cleanse that list and put that into a mail merge and get that sent to a print house. And a lot of the times it's small print runs, which a lot of print companies won't do. So a lot of times people print it themselves and then they have to take it to the post office. We're building a service where you can actually, in like 6 clicks or less, and in about 60 seconds, get your neighbor letters all sent out. So we're really big on data. What's the point of neighbor letters is when you've got a property, so regardless of what property that is, maybe it's vacant land or a house or any other kind of asset class, sometimes your best buyers are people that already live in the area.
Right.
They know the area well, right? The neighbors, the people surrounding the property, particularly for infill lots as well. Like a lot of different real estate investors, if they've got an infill lot with vacant land, the first people they'll reach out to is the people on that street or the people surrounding that house because they know the area better than anyone. And if you can put the right offer in front of them, a lot of the times people in the area are like, yep, I want that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm proof that you're absolutely the house I'm standing in was my neighbor's house. And
there you go.
I was like, and there's my next office. Great. Okay, cool. And I would what we call it here in Memphis is securing your borders. It's
that's exactly right.
and I want to own my whole neighborhood if I could.
Yep, correct. It's like a monopoly board.
Yeah, 100%. If I can, not control's the wrong word, but I guess it's probably exactly what I mean. So why not just come out and say it? But if I can control who's living next to me, and I get to pick my neighbors by all means, I plan on doing so.
And someone doesn't build a McMansion right next to you that is an eyesore, like, you get control over that, right? So
yeah.
neighbors is where it's at.
That's absolutely,
that's coming. We can talk about that on a whole nother podcast.
No, right. I know. I'm sorry. I got distracted by it. It was like, oh, that's really fascinating. I haven't heard of that. Forgive me. The point of our conversation here today is really to find out how you have scaled your companies, especially being halfway around the world. I mean,
yep.
And having a vacant land investing business, doing fix and flips. I've only done one fix and flip where I never saw the property in person. Like, how in the world did you do that?
Yeah, good question. I'm going to start, before I answer that, I'm just going to start by dispelling a myth here, if that's okay, Sam, because we speak to real estate investors all day long in our marketing business. And a lot of people are like, well, I have to do business in the state that I'm in, or, I have to be able to go and see the properties. No, you don't. You can do business from anywhere in the world. We have done deals on ski slopes in France, on yachts in Croatia, and all the way here from Australia. So you do not need to be in the same location as your deals, as long as you know what you're doing, how to run your due diligence, how to have boots on the ground when you need it, and making sure that you've got the right people on your team. Other than that, you don't need to be anywhere near your deals. As long as the deal stacks up and the numbers stack up, you're all good. So how did we scale? I guess where we started, Sam, if I can go back to the beginning, because I just mentioned their boots on the ground. So when we first started doing business in the US, we spent a fair amount of time in the US. Every couple of months, we were over there meeting with realtors, title companies, going and checking out areas, getting to know the lay of the land and putting the right people in place to be able to then step away and have the right people there. So number one, get the right people on your team, get the right boots on the ground. Once we did that, we were then able to do pretty much everything remotely. And if there's one thing, Sam, that unfortunately, COVID's been one of the worst things in history we've seen, but one of the good things that has come out of it is that a lot of people have gotten used to working remotely now. And even down to our title companies and some of the counties that we work with, they've all gotten very sophisticated, let's just say, not too sophisticated, but they've all gotten better in kind of doing things, without having to be there in person. So when we scaled, I think the thing is the myth about scaling. A lot of people go, we got to scale by adding more people and, doing more of the same. Scaling is not about necessarily adding people to your business. Like, that just adds more cost. Scaling really at the end of the day is looking at what's the process and systems and how do you do business and how do you do more of that without necessarily adding more cost. And that's all about efficiency. So sometimes I hear people go, I want to scale my business. And the first thing that they say, Sam, is I'm going to go and hire a VA. I'm like, that's not scaling. That's just managing people. So, it's an interesting approach that people think about when they hear the word scaling.
You said, you came here to the States, which, God bless you, flying back and forth from Australia is not a short hop. But you came back and forth quite a bit in the early days to kind of establish your industry partners, your title companies, your, lenders and everybody else, maybe early on. Boots on the ground would sound like it would be a challenging piece of the equation or piece of the puzzle to solve. How did you overcome that?
Easiest puzzle to solve. So we actually started that remotely. We just got on the phone to people from Australia and we said, hey, we're real estate investors. We're going to be investing, first of all, in Florida. We're looking, first of all, for realtors to be on our team so that we've got some intel about different areas in Florida. And we just got on the phone to different realtors and said, this is what we're doing. We're planning on coming over. Are you the kind of realtor that's interested in working with an investor that's got some interesting strategies we want to put into play? Most realtors, this is going back 5 years ago, I think the story would be different now, but most realtors didn't even bother returning our phone calls. Ones that did, we still do business with today. And one in particular has been on our team since day one. His name's Michael Cassidy, and he is amazing. And he went out and helped us buy our first few properties. And one of the first fix and flips we did, we actually went over and did like demo day together because we wanted to get to know our contracting team and all of that. And he's been with us since day one. We now JV with him on a number of deals. And through that, and here's the thing, once you get the first person in place, the easiest question then becomes, okay, so we're working with you and this is working well. Who do you know? Who's some title companies that you've worked with that you trust? Who's some probate attorneys that you've worked with that you trust? Who's some real estate attorneys you've worked with that you trust? And the list goes on. So we got introduced to quite a few people because of that existing relationship. And that's the same in pretty much, if I think about the multiples now of people that we work with, a lot of it's not what you know, it's who you know. And are you willing to ask for an introduction?
That's a great point. That's a great point. And that's you're leveraging their Rolodex. I mean, it's like, yeah. Who do
and that it's, what's good for you is good for them. It's kind of that I use the word ecology. It's good for you, it's good for me, and it's good for the greater good. If we can approach business with that lens that, hey, if you help me, I'll bring you more deals. And that has happened. So in our team, if I think about our title company, our realtors, our probate attorneys, I've introduced them now to hundreds of real estate investors as a result of just me having a network with them. So, what goes around comes around, Sam.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. That's really cool. I love hearing that that's possible. How did you guys not end up? I mean, the old phrase that there's a reason, like there's the word con and contractor. Like, how did you not end up, with a bad contractor along the way? Or maybe you did. Like,
we did.
Okay.
Our last house, this is why we changed asset classes. Our last house that we did was at that time as well, Sam, where everybody wanted to get into single family homes and do fix and flips. And I'm going to blame HGTV for that. Everyone wanted to be the next Chip and Joanna Gaines. And no, all good, all wonderful. But that was at the time when getting contractors and keeping them was getting really tough because people were just paying through the roof for, good resources.
Yep.
Finding good off-market deals was getting really tough. And the last house that we did, our contract team and our head contractor didn't do the right things. And we started to see some cracks forming in the business. And we started to see some cracks forming in our strategy as well. And it was like, okay, now's the time to go time out. Let's revisit our strategy. Let's look at where this asset class is going because all real estate goes in cycles. We know that. And let's look at what might be an easier asset class. And that's when we started vacant land about 4.5 years ago now. So we haven't looked back. Vacant land, don't really need contractors, Sam. It's so easy.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's brilliant. I love the transition. That's about the same time. It's funny. That's the same time I got out of single family housing as well. I was doing tons of fix and flip at that point. And it was just like, wait, there's competition's increasing. Margins are getting squeezed. Contractors harder to come by. It just kept dominating.
All those things, right? Like, we were the same.
Yeah, I said I'm done really in this, and which I by and large, have I done any single family? Did this house, but that again, this is my now. So I guess it doesn't really count. Tell me about this. You guys moved into vacant land. I've had a few people come on and really talk to us about their vacant land investing and kind of what the nuances of vacant land. That's really cool. Do you guys take a different spin on vacant land maybe than what some, I've talked to some people who've come out and they do rural vacant land. What do you guys do in the vacant land space?
Yep. We do it all. So I'll never say no to a deal because again, if the numbers add up and there's the appropriate exit strategy for that deal, we will do it. So we do infill lots, we do acreage, we do rural, we do commercial. We'll do any kind of vacant land because where there's a seller, there's often always a buyer. Right. And so we don't, we haven't really narrowed our strategy down, except this year we're definitely this year going after small to medium acreage that's just on the perimeters of some of the cities that we operate in, so that we can subdivide and do some forced appreciation on those as well. But we still do infill lots. We still do farmland. We do it all. And it's a thing, I guess, 5 years ago, we started to do business in Florida. Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, Sam, we still stay in Florida. We haven't had the need to go out into other states and do business yet. And the reason is because we've now built up a reputation. We've got a buyers list that is huge. We've got realtors. We've got this network now. So if we get a deal, if we want to do the deal, we've got the right people in place, and often we've got buyers in place, and some of our buyers are also builders and developers. But if we don't want to do that deal, I've still got a network that I can pass that contract on to. So we really don't we really don't say no to much, which makes me think maybe we should be getting a bit more targeted with our deals. But where you've got sellers and buyers, the deals to be done, right?
Right. What does vacant land do in a recession?
Yeah, it's interesting. And if I think back to, after 2008 and what happened then, now we weren't obviously doing business in the US at that point, but, you go back in history and every time a recession happens, the same kind of cycle still happens. So first of all, I think a lot of people hear the word recession and freak out a little bit. It's like, well, okay, what does this mean? Right. We don't, because it's happened so many times in history. It's like, the same stuff goes on. In a recession, more people want to liquidate. So you end up with more people that have their cash tied up in an asset. Maybe that asset is vacant land. And all of a sudden they're in a position of, I want to liquidate that, get my cash out as soon as I can and put my cash into something else. Great. That means you got more sellers on the market. People tend to freak out and go, yeah, but no one's going to buy in a recession. Yeah, they do. They just tend to buy low. So you have a lot of land bankers that will buy in recession times. You have a lot of investors that know that markets go in cycles and they'll say, I'm going to hold this for 5 years and then see what happens. A lot of builders and developers still want to make money in that time. So they'll buy and hold and wait for the right opportunity to then build in those areas. There's still exit strategies, that are there. I think the only thing in a recession is you need to adjust, where you're doing. So if you're buying here and selling here in normal times, at a recession, it might do this. So you're still buying and selling, but it might just not be at the same levels as to what you might be. So, that doesn't scare us.
Right. No, I love it. Absolutely love it. Tell me about supercharged offers. What is...
Yeah, that's something I'm very passionate about. So one of the things we recognized, Sam, early on when we first got into real estate investing, we went and did all the courses and went to these education seminars that told us how to do deals in the US. And the same thing happens every time. They say, go and download a list, put some mail together, send out some direct mail and wait for the phone to ring. And we did that. But that's what everyone else is doing, right? That's kind of like the 101 stuff.
Right.
And so my partner Matt and I, and we noticed very early on this inconsistency in our business, because if we weren't mailing all the time, our business started to have gaps in it. And we see this time and time again in every real estate group. It's like people have this roller coaster effect of, oh, we've got a good month because we did some mailings, then we got a bad month because nothing's closing. And we just thought, how do we want to run our business if we were to really think about running this as a business, not just as a hobby? So Supercharged Offers was simply born out of a need for us to do our own marketing in the way that we choose. And that's making sure that we have a consistent pipeline of deals always happening. So Supercharged Offers, we didn't mean for it to become a business, but now we've got customers in over 12 countries, all doing deals in the US, more than 80 customers that we're working with, and we love it. So we're basically managing the acquisitions marketing for them. And here's what I want to come back to, Sam. A lot of people get into real estate investing because they're good at doing deals. They're good at speaking to sellers, they're good at speaking to buyers, and they're good at doing a deal. They're not so good at managing data, building websites, doing online ads, making sure their direct mail is consistent, all of that. So Supercharged Offers does the end-to-end, and I call it the bookends. So at one end, you still need to do your research to tell us which areas you want to go after. The other end, when the lead comes through to you, you still need to close that lead. Everything in the middle, from your branding, your logo, your website, your content, your online ads, your social media, your data, your direct mail, everything we manage for you. So it's a huge time saver to a lot of real estate investors out there. We do all asset classes. And everything's very data driven. We've invested really heavily in data in our company, Sam, and we know that data drives everything. But it's got to be good data and it's got to be managed well.
That is really cool, and that is your real estate marketing company, is Supercharged
Correct.
Offers. Okay. And do you also do that on the commercial real estate side?
Yeah, we do it for any asset class. We've got people that do self-storage, mobile home parks, vacant land, single-family homes. We can do commercial. We've got someone that's actually doing airstrips. So for people that have their own planes and they've got air parks that they can go and park to, kind of like living on a golf course, but there's an airstrip instead. So we as long as there's data, we can manage the marketing. And we've got database for everything.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love the idea of an air park. That's pretty fun. Why not just taxi out and take off? That's good times. So tell me, what are some common problems? I know you said there that people aren't very good at marketing, but there has to be some common problems or common things that people are doing incorrectly or doing poorly that you said, look, I can just help you solve it now, and I can do it fast.
Yeah. Yep. One of the biggest things I think is inconsistency. You see people, they're all trying to build businesses, or a lot of them are actually just creating another job for themselves instead of building a business. They want to leave their current job and start their own company, all of this stuff, all these great dreams. But inconsistency is the biggest killer, Sam. And so you see people that get started and they'll send out some marketing, they'll do a couple of mailings, and then they wait for deals to come in, and then they've got some deals. So they're spending all their time and energy working those deals. And by the time they turn around and get their return on investment, which is often months, they then turn back to their pipeline and it's empty. And so one of the biggest killers in this business, no matter what asset class you're in, is inconsistency. And I see it every day. And it really then just comes back to time, and I often say to a lot of people in our customer base, working that old, it's an old saying now, but are you working on your business or in your business? And a lot of them are still working in it. They're in the minutiae, they're in the detail, they're trying to do everything themselves. And it's like, you don't have to do it all yourself. If you find the right people to partner with, be okay to let go of control of some things, as long as those things are done well, and spend your time and energy on the stuff that makes you money.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's great, especially as you're starting out. It's one of those things, I guess, once you get to a certain size, you could probably start bringing on team members that can then handle that stuff in-house. But if it's 1, 2, or maybe even 3 of you and you're launching, it's like, oh, there's a lot of moving pieces here. And yeah, that can be absolutely.
And if I can add to that, Sam, like I did everything in the beginning, as did my partner, Matt. We were both in there learning it all, doing it all. And because I have a certain rule in our business that we want to outsource something or hire a team member unless we've done that thing ourselves. Otherwise, how do we know what good looks like?
Right.
And how do we then set that person up to train them, measure them, all of that? So, you've got to get in there and do it first to begin with. But there comes a point in time that you need to let go of certain things to then create more space to do more deals, or, add more elements to your business to make it grow.
Yep, absolutely. I'm going to throw this term out there for you. And then in the last few minutes we have left, when I say global resources, what does that mean?
Yeah, global resources, for me, it means if I can actually if we could imagine that word global resources, I'm going to cross out the word global and just put resources. As long as you have the right people in the right jobs doing the right things, it really doesn't matter where they're based. We've got people all over the world. We literally have our team. We've got team members in Asia, Serbia, Bangladesh, Australia, US. That's across 5 countries.
Right.
And as long as we've got the right people in the right jobs doing the right things, as I said, it really doesn't matter where they're based. It matters about how you set them up for success. And systems and processes these days can allow you to do that super easy. How you set up your CRM, how you manage task flow, how you allocate work, how you measure results, all of that, you can do from your lounge room in your underwear if you want.
Right.
You don't have to be in the same places where your resources are. We've got an amazing team, and they've all gotten to know each other really, really well. And it's great. They don't have to be in the same place.
Right. No, that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's one of those things that, and it's one of the part of one of the businesses I'm involved in right now, is that you need somebody with that gifting, though, to kind of take all of those, what did you call it? Not resources, but take all those processes and procedures and get it implemented. And that's one thing, in my skill set, I don't have that. I just don't have it. I'm not an operator. It's like I suck at that. And so you've got to find other team members that go, I got a buddy that's joining us that it just geeks out on it. He's like, dude, this is, I mean, he's like, man, I got charts and spreadsheets and like, it's just his thing. I'm like,
that's my partner, Matt. His background is in IT transition transformation. So he's all about automation, systems, processes. And so we've really been able to systematize our business. Right. He now is implementing systems and processes for other people. Because people see how we're running our business. Like my land business, I probably work on an hour a day.
Right.
Because the rest of it is systematized. Our team knows what they need to do at every point in time, and it's super easy.
That's fantastic. Alicia, thank you for taking the time to come on the show today.
Thank you, Sam.
Absolutely. Just pull back the curtain on your multiple businesses, how you guys have grown them, the way that you've partnered up with the right people and got the right seats on the bus, showed us that you can buy and invest in even fix and flip real estate from halfway around the world, right here in the U.S. Absolutely fantastic. I love it. If our listeners want to get in touch with you, what is the best way to do that?
Yeah, they can drop me an email direct. So it's Alicia, which is spelled Alicia. No one ever gets that right. At superchargedoffers.com. They can call my team on 888-538-5478 or just jump onto superchargedoffers.com and they can download a free ebook. They can download a free business growth plan to help them with their business strategy. They can get in touch with me anyway, or just look me up on Facebook.
Fantastic. We'll make sure we include all of those there in the show notes. And certainly, again, appreciate you coming on. Thank you, Alicia.
Thanks, Sam.